Here's an update when it comes to the internet computer. Nothing I say is financial advice though. However, very recently, something called the MICA Alliance, which is spelled MICA, they did welcome Dfinity, or should I say the Dfinity Foundation, into that specific alliance. Now, people may be thinking, okay, what is this, right? Before I get into what I mean by this, new thing that I just basically saw, I first want to explain what is MICA, right? What is MICA? Now, supposedly, when I take a look at it, MICA allegedly stands for Markets and Crypto Assets Regulation, and this institutes uniform European market rules for crypto assets. And when I take a look at what is this specific alliance, to kind of just explain it real quick, right? This is allegedly a collaborative initiative designed to streamline and enhance compliance with the MICA regulations. And supposedly it is backed by something like Hedera. We take a look at Aptos, again, many others. I find this to be pretty interesting. Because the thing is, when it comes to the internet computer, people like to tell me, well, it's not really doing anything. However, again, we just take a look at what Dfinity just did. Again, they were welcome to this, specific alliance that I mentioned before. Is this necessarily going to change the fundamentals of the internet computer? Is it going to make it hypothetically faster? Is it going to make it more streamlined or something like that? I mean, not really. I mean, how? I don't think so. Hypothetically, in my perspective, this is just more so kind of, I think, building up the credibility of something like the internet computer, or something maybe like Dfinity, because we take a look at, Dfinity, what they did with Caffeine AI and how that could hypothetically impact something like the internet computer. So if something hypothetically positive happens to Dfinity, indirectly, I would be a fan of that when it comes to the internet computer. Granted, when it comes to ICP, in terms of price, I mean, wow. It's just not doing good, right? I mean, we take a look at $100. Very far away at this point. At this exact point, when it comes to ICP, when I'm making this video, it is basically around 33 times lower than $100. So we're not talking about ICP doing the best. And people like to say, well, if this is pretty interesting, arguably, this new announcement, right? Why is ICP not doing anything? Well, it's just not an altcoin season, and the sentiment when it comes to altcoins is just not the best. I mean, what can I do about it? But in the meantime, I do like seeing this, because some other projects out there, they're not really caring about, this type of stuff, but I do find it pretty interesting. We see some other projects out there really do care about compliance, and I do like seeing that. When it comes to Dfinity as well, what I seem to like about them is that it seems to be well run, in a sense where some other entities out there, they just don't really care, they don't really do anything. But I like how Dfinity is still putting that effort. Keep in mind, some projects that are the size of the internet computer, they just don't really care. But I do like seeing what I'm seeing here. Now, also, my point of view is this. If we take a look at something like, again, this MICA alliance that is backed by something like Hedera, arguably, I find it pretty cool, because if we take a look at Hedera, what is a part of their governing council? It's something called Google. Also, on top of that, something else that is part of the Hedera governing council is something called Mondelez. Mondelez, by the way, their brands do include something like Oreo. Has anyone heard about that, right? Oreo, of course, pretty popular, very famous. Also, on top of that, we take a look at Cliff Bar. That's another one of their brands. Like again, Cliff, right? Not to mention, if we take a look at it, Hedera is a little bit different than the internet computer in a way where we take a look at the fundamentals. Now, this is just kind of a, off-topic type of thing, but I just wanted to mention this to kind of emphasize why I think it's pretty cool that Hedera even backs something like this alliance to begin with, because Hedera Hashgraph, it doesn't utilize traditional blockchain technology. It uses something called a directed acyclic graph. So again, just automatically it makes it very different than a bunch of other projects out there. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick. And of course, we take a look at something like Aptos. Aptos has a blockchain, right? Which, it's pretty popular, hasn't seen that much attention as of late because of the pullback when it comes to the market overall when it comes to altcoins. But still, if we take a look at Aptos, pretty popular blockchain. And if we just take a look at Aptos kind of in and of itself, supposedly it does back something like this. Again, this supposed alliance that Dfinity just recently got, I guess, welcomed into, right? So yeah, I mean, my point of view is that I find it pretty interesting. I find it pretty cool. I seem to like what is going on when it comes to Dfinity fundamentally. In terms of price, I mean, it's just a completely different case when it comes to ICP, but I wanted to make this video to talk about it and just to express my thoughts, because when things are looking kind of boring, like right now, when altcoins are not really doing much, when there's not much action, when there's really nothing going on, this type of stuff keeps me a little bit entertained. That's my perspective. Sure, I could go to the movies and maybe go see some films, right? Maybe later on watch Avatar when it's out, right? But, I would say that at least within this space, it does keep me a little bit entertained. So yeah, that's my perspective right now. I want to say thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.